Loreheads, and welcome to The League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
My name is Mark.
And today we're talking about the Storm's Fury Janna, who was released September 2nd, 2009.
Yeah.
Oldie.
Beta.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
The beta
Okay,
bunch.
so she was one of the original? Or no?
I think so, yeah.
Holy shit. I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought that.
Maybe not this version, but some version of
Yeah,
her.
that's fair.
Yeah.
The version of her that we're spared nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's obviously gotten a little love through the ages, but Janna, I think this was going to be like my whole thesis for Janna, is that she's kind of a weird one because she's so old, and like the one thing about her that really holds strong, I think, is her kit, right? Like not related to her lore or her design or her VO. It's just her actual gameplay is like so tightly designed, and that's why it's always been the same.
That's true. Really no
for the most part.
Changes on her kit over the years, like very minor things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she's solid. Mm-hmm. I had heard that Janna is often picked by people who get filled in the support role. I don't know how true that is because I'm a support mate.
Interesting. I feel like, that's interesting. I would have thought like maybe Sona, because you can just kind of face roll.
I would have also thought
I would have assumed Lux.
Well, Lux is just hard to play in general, I think. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, just some mage, right?
Yeah.
That's what I like when someone goes Ari like support. You know they're a mid main. Anyway,
we want to give our Janna impressions.
Oh god, I already forgot what she's. I play Janna, and I could not for the life of me remember what the fuck she sounded like.
Really? It runs through my head like perfectly. I can't do it well. It's like upon the wind, but
that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true. For only $2.95 a minute, I will leave you breathless.
That one comes out of fucking nowhere.
It's one of her classics. That was one of her old quotes that they were like, no, we're leaving that in.
Solid.
Okay.
She's got 10 quotes.
And this will, oh boy. So when we do the comparison between old lore and new lore, we're going to see how thematic this was with old Janna.
I didn't read her old lore. Maybe I should have.
You shouldn't have.
Oh, God.
Nope.
Was she a hooker?
No.
Oh.
But she was...
Mark and I are so disappointed.
But we'll get into it. Don't worry.
What's the fucking point?
Don't worry.
So who wants to do an impression of old Janna?
Oh, man. What is that? Your forecast is bad. Just like Vygar almost.
Upon the wind.
I'm whispering loudly.
That's what it sounds like.
Mom's in the other room, and I got to do this VO impression at 2 a.m.
If y'all haven't listened,
staring at me like that. That was the one that killed me. I fucking died laughing.
If y'all haven't listened to the old Janna VO, you owe it to yourself. Do you have it on your phone? Can you pull this up?
Yeah,
we'll just play one of them.
I mean, I have
and
the
then
video.
You can seek out the rest of
little
them.
That Mark
appetizer.
put in our Discord.
The wrath of the sky is upon you.
Fuck yeah. That's what we call the good shit.
Approaches.
Oh, God.
Storm approaches.
It is unleashed.
It was like, so the first line that I heard, it was like almost horror movie-esque.
Yes.
And then the more I heard it, the more it was like a child, like you said, Mark, like yell whispering is more what it sounded like. And it gets funnier the longer you listen to it. There's longevity in the comedy, and I really appreciate that.
Man, there's a reason that video's got like 200,000 views. It's because when you hear it, you want other people to hear it. Like, yo, check this out.
If we ever make like a haunted house for kids to go through, that's the sound that's gonna play to welcome them in.
So,
God, it's so good.
I know. Like, well, this is like her voice. I think this was her voice in the beta. And I think, like you said, John, off air, they knew this shit was bad. That's kind of telling when they're like, like, TF was pretty broken, but this day one patch type shit, like, we can't let this get into production.
That's
so much
amazing.
So that she has 10 quotes right now, and one of them is a joke about this VO.
Yeah. It's really good. Should I just... I never know if I should play it on my phone or like
Usually comes out pretty well.
I think it comes out pretty well on the phone. Hang on, I forgot the alphabet.
J's after B,
Shut
but not
up.
directly.
Do you know what's helping me when I'm scrolling through the champions alphabetically now? Is whether or not we've done them before.
Yeah, honestly.
It's true.
Okay. It was her joke. Okay.
Say hello to the winds of... I don't know what came over me.
The coughing and the impression of it is so good. Shout out, I'm so sorry to whoever did the original Janna voice. You're fucking hilarious. I don't think that was it on purpose, but it was really funny.
I'm positive that you were following the directions they gave you
100%.
to the T.
Yeah.
This is no judgment on you.
No. And they
Yeah,
clearly
I mean-
edited it afterwards to sound a certain way.
Look, I'm certain there are some champions that shipped without a voiceover, just on accident, right? Like, the fact that she even got one, no hate.
Okay, we are like 7 minutes into this recording and haven't talked about Janna yet, aside from her voiceover, but that's okay. On the universe page, Janna has a bio and 2 short stories, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bio
that's what's linked.
by Anthony Birch.
Yeah.
Birchman, back at it.
Oh, okay, okay.
He also did the short story, the Deep Breath one, and after reading him, I
So
was not
good.
terribly surprised. Yeah, because I was like, oh, these are good. I'm going to
Yeah.
go look. I wonder who wrote these. Oh, look.
Yeah.
There's some. I'm seeing
It's
a
our boy
consistency.
Birch.
Yeah.
I thought the bio, I mean, I guess spoiler alert, I thought the bio was fine, but like,
Yeah.
damn, that short story fucking shone.
Yeah, I really, really liked that short story. I mean, the bio, you're so limited on sounding boring. I kind of like
Right. It's
not boring, but you're
academic.
unbiased. I guess. Yeah, there we go. All right. I only have notes on the bio. 'cause
Go
I suck.
for it.
So
Hit it up.
I'm gonna do that. Okay. So Janna's been around since ancient times. Which cracked me up, obviously. She's like some kind of wind goddess or whatever. They never actually specify what
Yeah.
she is. But she doesn't quite have like some say she's this, some say she's that. They all agree she does shit with wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's first discovered by sailors who would pray to the wind, although then she was seen as a bird who transformed into a woman. I don't really think we see the bird form much later, but that's okay.
It's, she always has the bird with her, is the thing. The little bluebird, the zephyr.
I'm so dumb. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they just thought that she was transforming into the bird, but they're 2 different people.
She might still like
Sure,
that's
she-
an
yeah, I was gonna
in-game.
say.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so she went by a different name in Shurima, but eventually just became known as Janna. Word of Janna spread, and eventually a group of strong supporters were formed, and they were known as Oshra Vazan. Does that sound familiar? Eventually an emperor comes around and says, no worshipping false idols, which I guess is anyone who isn't ascended, so Janna's statues were taken down, but her congregants wore bird amulets instead. Over time, Janna did her best to help people who called to her, and as the Ascended ruined everything with like their shitty, stupid wars, she protected the city that became known as Zaun. This is now the kind of point where Zaun collapses, which we've talked about a little bit before, the whole creation of Piltover and Zaun. I don't think I realized that it started with Zaun, and then when Zaun fell, Piltover was built over it, kind of.
Yeah, I
Okay.
also learned in this bio. And
Mark's giving me like a, kind of.
Kinda.
So it's on the map, but I never looked at it. I did not realize that the river that cut through was called the River Pilt.
The River Pilt,
and
yeah.
that's how fucking Piltover got its name.
Yeah.
It all makes so much sense
The
now.
pieces, they're all falling together. Yeah.
They also kind of said that this, because some of the shit about her bio started in Shurima, and then this became Zaun. Was Zaun like next to Shurima? Is it a part of Shurima, or what was once Shurima?
I
Yeah, I
think
think-
Shurima spread pretty wide back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we saw a little bit of that in Ezreal's bio as he was doing the like Shuriman,
Oh, okay.
you know, like that Shuriman, what's it called? Like crypt or whatever, but in Zaun.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah. That's a good. That's actually a really good thing to reference here because that was where he was going
Yeah,
into
it's true.
old Oshrazan ruins.
Oshrazan, yeah.
Ashra? Ashra?
Yeah,
Okay, sorry, I said that wrong.
Oshkosh Bagosh.
Yeah.
So basically what happened, they were trying to create a canal in Zaun, and they've done fucked it up. A lot of people prayed to Janna, who was thought to mostly be forgotten by then, but they seem to remember her right when they were about to die, which is pretty
realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she still came to their rescue. She saved as many as she could, but a lot of people still died. But she still has followers in Zaun to this day, or this day in Runeterra now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get another real name alert in this bio.
Oh?
Janna's
yeah.
real name, Janna M.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a neat factoid.
Yeah.
Also, she was able to hold off the power of floodwaters with just the power of her wind. Mm-hmm. Just imagine what she could have done to the mist.
I know.
I knew there was going to be that moment. Put the dollar in the complaining about Rise of the Sentinels jar. Because it's like, why not
We're going to Disney after this year, baby.
Like, it makes why have it just be they make big fans or whatever they made instead of Janna? You've got it right here. Here's the actual reason. Whatever.
I saw people complaining that it should have been Janna, and I was like, okay, sure. I really didn't know Janna's story, so I had no idea that she was like a Zaun goddess, because there's so much shit going around in Zaun, and Janna is like a half-naked lady. I don't know. She just didn't look like she belonged in Zaun to me, just based on the aesthetics of Zaun. But anyway, after reading this and what she has done to save people, it is just another frustrating thing that you flat out ignored it in Rise of the Sentinels.
That's just they completely forgot, because she doesn't look like it. So they were going through all their champions, and no one had that fresh in their brain.
Oh man!
So they're like, we don't even need to think about it, right? I'm sure that's what happened.
I think maybe the people working on it also didn't realize that Janna was from Zaun.
I mean, who knows? Maybe that's just who knows.
Anyway, that's her bio. It was pretty good. It had like that old champ feel, I guess, of like, since ancient times they were a legend. And she doesn't really have she gets a personality in the stories a little bit, but in the bio you don't really see anything of a personality. Janna intrigues me because she looks like a serious but kind of boring goddess, but then occasionally you get quotes from her that she sounds fucking hilarious and like kind of a troll, and I really want more of that.
Yeah, I feel like they did. I say they, so I think Anthony Birch did a good job of. We talk a lot about how we wanted to see more from their stories, but like we connect with them as a character because they've got so many good in-game quotes. Janna has shit for in-game quotes, so all we have is the story to go with her. And I think you do what you can with the bio, but I feel like the short story did a good job of quickly, despite Janna barely being in it, did a really good job of telling you who Janna is.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that speaks to the strength of, or the quality of the writing, right, with that specific story. And I don't know if you just want to go through it now or if you had anything else to say about the bio. I'm like y'all, I'm kind of tapped out because it's very matter of fact, and like a third of it is about explaining how Piltover even comes into being, which I guess was good at the time.
I'm not gonna give the synopsis of the short story, but I'll just start out by saying, like, I teared up during this fucking short story.
If it had caught me at a different time of the month, I would have, but I'm in my cold state.
You're hibernating. But sure, yeah. So it's called Deep Breath is the name of it, and it's told from the perspective of a young Zaunite boy. I assume he's like a young adult because he has just tried to get apprenticeship.
I actually don't know if this is a boy or a girl. If I can specify.
I wrote a note. He is referred to as
my boy.
What does she say specifically? My boy.
Yeah.
That happens later, huh?
I wasn't sure if it was like the Piltover who was referring to him was like just being condescending, just being like whatever. I don't like. Maybe it's a girl who's being referred to as my boy because the
Probably
Pilty couldn't
not.
give a shit, or maybe it's actually a boy.
Okay. No, I got you.
Yeah, well, a young Zaunite, I guess, and they are lamenting. There's a lot of like internal like thoughts and kind of monologues. So the actuals, what happens, are very short. But they're lamenting kind of how Piltover looks down on Zaun and those who live there, and just view them all as like losers and idiots. And we kind of learned that they had just spent months, working to the bone, dealing shimmer, which is some fantasy drug, and Zaun, just doing everything they could to try and get apprenticeship into this clan Holleran. And they got to the final step. They were told, you got to meet the clan patron. It's just a formality. And the patron comes in. Boswell Holleran is his name. He takes one look at our Zaunite narrator and says, we don't, I don't remember the exact words, but they immediately say no.
We don't accept sump snipes.
Yeah, we don't accept sump snipes or sump rats. And as this is happening on top of that, they are back down in Zaun, and there is a gray out happening. And so that's when the normally already shitty toxic air gets really bad, to the point where like you can barely breathe. So the narrator's just sitting there, struggling for breath after having lost all this stuff that they've tried to do, and kind of starts praying to Janna and talking about how their mother believed in Janna and always prayed to her, but still died. Popper's death right down in Zaun, and the narrator is talking to Janna and just going through all of these things that are just the various pains that they suffer, and just kind of outpouring all of it. It's just like this one long run-on sentence of like, what if like I die as nothing? I'm tired of wanting to cry all the time. Just all these things. And all of a sudden the wind picks up and just clears the gray out, and the narrator can breathe fresh air and see up into the sky. And as they're looking up, they actually see that same clan patron who had kind of kicked them out. And at that moment, Janna sort of manifests and holds them and tells them that they're going to be okay, and just helps reassure them. And as Janna leaves, she upends the patron in the wind. She doesn't like hurt him, but she just deposits him down in the Zaun muck, much to the narrator's amusement. And that's the story.
Now I have the quote from Janna here.
Oh, it's so good.
That made me tear. Because let's be honest, we all need a little fucking Janna in our life. So as the narrator is lamenting all this, Janna just comes up behind him and just hugs him and says, "It might not be okay now. You might not be okay for a while. And that's fine. But someday, without knowing exactly when or why or how it happened, you'll feel happy," she says. "My face is warm and wet, and I don't know when I started crying, but it's a relief, like the clouds are clearing. And I hold her arms, and she holds me, just telling me, over and over, that it's okay, that she's here, that things will be better."
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah, and I guess like I had kind of said, there's the actuals. What happens are pretty short, but it does a really good job, I think, of making you feel very connected to the. Just how much suffering this narrator is kind of feeling in that moment, right? And there's a very strong there's just a strong through line of this sort of gray out happening, and just being kind of overwhelmed by all this stuff, and like being almost unable to breathe, and just having a general sort of panic attack or just a breakdown. And that's what this person is kind of suffering from, and it communicates it very effectively. So when Janna shows up and everything starts to feel a little bit better, you really feel that. I guess it feels like, oh man, you can get that clean breath, right? You can take your deep breath, as our title tells us, right?
Yeah, I think I don't know what it is about the location or the people there, but I find it the easiest to root for Zaun. I think more than any other location, I'm always like, just let's help them, let's keep them safe.
Every short story I hear,
they're so
about
fucking devastating.
But like all the Zaunite youth, like. I feel like I would I'd get along with Zaunite Gen Z real well. I feel like. Yeah,
I mean.
Yeah.
They're very plucky. That's the thing too, is that they do a really good job of making so many of them feel. There's like a gritty determinedness to them almost, right? I don't know how else to describe it. There's a lot of ways.
Very Oliver Twist.
Sure.
Yeah, they're very like they've been put in a shitty situation, but they're just gonna fucking make the best of it.
Yeah. So if the narrator is a boy, by the way, then this is gay.
Another explicitly gay character.
Yes, because there's a quick line where he says, "Got beaten up a lot. Boy I loved didn't love me back," when talking about all the shit they've been through. Mm. So
the only thing about this gets away from so remove a little bit of the emotional impact. The only thing about it is it makes me wonder more about the mechanics of like what can Janna do, right? And how is she? Is this the most she can do? I would totally buy if you told me she's doing literally everything she can. She's stretched to the limit, and like just even this intervention maybe is just really is a massive tax on her to just do that. I'd be fine.
Yeah, because otherwise, like, can you just get rid of the gray forever?
Right. That's kind of the question, right?
My assumption is that I mean, it's never explicitly said, but with any kind of like god type character, a lot of their power comes from people's belief in them. And I imagine if the belief in Janna is kind of restricted to Zaun, which is like a small section of a larger city that is a small part of the world, she probably doesn't have the same power she had back in Shuriman times.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean,
I don't know if that's how it works, but
no, I think, from context clues, if I had to guess, I would guess that's how it's supposed to work, right? Because it kind of hints at that as like, when the ancient Shuriman Empire, whatever, was falling, Ashrazan, fuck, I'm never going to remember it, was relatively well preserved, and it seems like that's because she had a lot of followers there, right? The thing about that, though, is that, like, in this story, for example, she manifests physically in front of a lot of, like, a crowd of people. They've all saw Janna do that. That would, I don't know about you, but like me, that would make me like, okay, get me one of those Bluebird tokens. Sign me up for Twitter, baby. Right?
So what Janna's following is called Twitter.
God damn it. But so who knows? It's not like this is like, I won't say nitpicky, but like if you wanted to have her do more, these are things you would need to start answering, I think. Here it's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter,
yeah. I imagine at a place like Zaun and Piltover too, where there is probably one of the few places in Runeterra that's blending science and magic so closely together, it probably also becomes hard to distinguish between the two for like an everyday citizen.
Oh yeah.
And where some might see something that Janna did and be like, that is the act of a goddess. Some might be like, man, check out that hex tech.
That's that's actually I would totally be down with that if that's how you wanted to handle that, like answer that question.
What?
And that could be interesting.
Maybe in Rise of the Sentinels, it was Janna, and they just interpreted it as fans.
They just
That's gonna be how Riot retcons is.
God, it's I'd be
and it stopped working just because she like went on a break.
I'm taking my smoke break. Turn those fans on for me. I'll be on back in 15.
All right. The other story is called City of Iron and Glass. It's by Graham McNeil.
Yeah. So this one is a lot like Principles of Strength or Progress Day, in that it's not really a Janna story. She has the slightest cameo. The slightest.
But there's no other champion in it.
There's no other champion. Yeah.
And it's a good story,
And it's
so
good.
like it's clear that they felt like, honestly, that Janna part, my guess is it wasn't even part of the original story, and they're like, oh shit, we can't even tie this to anyone. Quick, put in something that has some champion in it so that we can put it on a page so it doesn't get lost forever.
That's
This is
funny.
a good story, and I'm glad it didn't get lost forever.
For sure, yeah. This is very much like a night out in Zaun. Is like if you want to get the feeling of being a little street sump urchin, whatever, and what it's like to be out in Zaun for a night, this is the one to read. I really liked it. But the quick summary is it's following a group of Zaun orphans who are out for like a night on the town, and the main one we're following is a young man named Win. Like they're really little. I assume like 10-ish, maybe, give or take, somewhere around there. Maybe a little older for a few of the kids. But they're out. They're going to go up closer to Piltover for the evening. They're going to go see. They all come from an orphanage, and they're going to go see their caretaker, a woman named Mama Elodie, go perform for the night. So the first thing they do is they're jumping from a ledge onto the Rising Howl, which we can remember from the Blitzcrank story, that janky giant elevator thing. They're jumping onto the top of that. Our actual POV character Win would have fallen off, but luckily a burst of wind kind of catches him and helps flip him over and push him up. I wonder who that could be.
Actually,
Blitzcrank.
it's probably worth mentioning too that in a deep breath she manifests after this. She's being prayed to, and right before she manifests here, the kid does scream out or like think to himself like, "Oh, please, by the
Like Janna's mercy.
Power of Janna.
yeah, like by the power of Janna, I compel you." Before the gust blows him back up.
With your powers combined. Come on, tell me she's not Captain Planet, not Captain America. That's actually a really good point.
Hero.
So I think that lends credence to our she works on prayer juice type theory.
I like the idea that she's just like bitter And she's like, I'm not gonna help anyone unless they say my fucking name first.
You could ask nicely.
Say my name, say my name.
Oh man, but
Or I will not blow you.
Oh my god, John, can this be your next parody
Head go
song?
down. Yeah,
Say my name, but it's
will
about
not blow
Janna.
you. Okay.
I'd really request a different line.
I request
Actually, no, that's got to be in there.
But Win survives. Janna helps our boy Win survive, and so do all of his other friends. They ride up. On the ride up, one of them moons the riders. And can I say, this guy fucking commits, right? He's like, hey, Pilties,
does.
there's a full moon out tonight, which is already great. And then he spreads cheek and slides down the glass.
Really
just
brought me back.
I just imagined a dog scooting on the
Yeah,
carpet.
that's the actual image. Leaves a little snail trail, maybe, because
Ew! A little skin
Look,
mark because he doesn't wipe.
right? I love that there is a league story with the phrase "ass to glass" in it. So after that fun event, they ride up. They get off early because they don't want to get caught for doing those types of things. And they get up into, they move up to what they call the entresol level, I guess. It's kind of where Piltover and Zaun start to kind of meet. And it's what am I trying to say? I really like the descriptions here. It really feels very immersive when as they're walking through here. I love that they have like a Piltover and Zaun fusion food restaurant, which I thought was a neat, weird detail.
This reminded me a lot in its description of like Vegas, where it's like a combination of like the trashiest and the classiest.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good descriptor. It's like there's couples
I
like
would love a T-shirt.
man. So they're walking around this. They finally get to the theater that they're trying to get to, and they're not able to get in. They look like, street urchins, and while they can't get kicked off this level, they also can't, the doorman won't let them in. But they manage to find another kind of entrance. One of the kids scrapes out big old gutters or something like that, tubes, for extra coin, and so he can help them kind of sniff out, oh, there's a shared pipe, we'll go down that, and we'll get in. And they sneak in, and they kind of spill out into this sort of dazzling dance, and Win and this girl Kez are kind of dancing with each other, and one of the doormen shows up, but they're so used to running away, it's not even a problem, and they just start having this wonderful sort of time dancing around and dancing away from this doorman. And just as they're about to get caught, I guess, Mama Elodie kind of comes out, and she starts singing, and she kind of casts like a song that's also a spell. She's very obviously like doing some sort of sorcery, and it's like entrancing people, and everyone's just getting caught up in this song and loving it. And she eventually stops singing, and that's when the doormen kind of come to get them, and Mama Elodie shows up and protects them. So they all go back down, and even though that they're going to be in big trouble for sneaking out, it was a really fun night, and that's the end of the story. Did I miss anything?
Very
It's kind of a
good
long
story.
thing. Yeah.
It was a long story. I mean, from what I've gathered with Graham McNeil stories, that's kind of par for the course, but
Yeah.
they're usually worth the read.
Sure.
A few things I liked about this one. I love the description that they gave to kind of as they're riding the elevator up, they're looking out over Zaun and kind of in awe about how beautiful it is. And they look up at Piltover, and one of the quotes was, "Piltover shone in towers of ivory and bronze, copper and gold. Beautiful also, but Zaun's beauty was lived in." It's a very like Zaunite way to view it, I guess. Like, yeah, this is pristine, but like it's like something, it's like a toy you can't play with. Zaun is.
Yeah, I guess it's like the difference between like a warm, cozy house and a fireplace, and then like a cold stone mansion.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, in general, the way, like you said, what happens in the story is pretty short. There's not even like a really. The only thing that's a little weird about this, just to get out of the way, is like I don't know about pacing or like the actual plot is a little. Like there's no like real serious conflict. It's just kind of following them on a night out, and you kind of think that it might be leading to some specific thing, but it never really comes. It's more just kind of it's very much just like immersing them and you, the reader, in just this is what it's like to go through this night in Zaun and what the city's like, and in that way, it really succeeds.
I liked it a lot because while there's no like, I mean, there's no like big bad. Like the whole story is conflict for what should be such a simple thing.
That's true.
Like all they want to do is go to this shared area between Zaun and Piltover and watch their headmistress sing. Like that's all they want. And what they have to do to get there is risk their lives to get on top of an elevator that they can't afford and then climb through toxic sewers because they're going to get arrested if they don't, and then find a way through a vent because they won't be let in through the front door, and then evade guards who find them when they're in there because they're not allowed to be in there. It's like very much highlights like this one simple thing, like how difficult it is for people who are from, Zaun and at the station that they're at.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good point. Honestly, I hadn't kind of thought about it necessarily in that way. I was kind of like looking at it from a more like I don't know, detached maybe, or more like I'm just looking for like a traditional sort of narrative structure, I guess I might say. But it's a really good point. I think it also maybe it's just speaking to how well realized the characters are, and that these are things that to them are very commonplace, right? So, talking about escaping the guards, they're like, oh, we can get away from the wardens. These guys are not even a fucking problem. So it's just fun, right? It's just fun to try and like have these guys try and catch us. So it's a really good perspective to have on it, I suppose. But
honestly, after like all of Echo's stuff, I was expecting something really horrendous to happen to all the children. So I was just relieved when they were all alive.
Right, not even one of them died.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's a good point as well. Is that like this to me really captures that feeling of like kind of like being a kid, and especially from the perspective of maybe being older, where it's really fun. They're having a really fun night, probably one of the most fun, beautiful nights they're gonna have. But there's there's a little bit of darkness, kind of always kind of at the edge, right? Like his brother makes a couple times to know he's got a cough, and he's coughing up something that's brackish, like maybe like blood, right? Or like something that's really bad. One of the other kids is like older, and he's kind of an asshole, but they kind of make a note that like, well, he's a little older. He's going to have to leave the orphanage soon and go figure out what the fuck to do in Zaun, right? Just all these little things kind of remind you, like, this is a very fleeting thing, right? I don't know. But it makes it all the more sweet, right?
It's very beautifully done. And they talk about Mama Elodie, too, which, for the record, calling her Melody, a little on the nose, but go at it. But they mentioned that she said that she was like an Ionian princess. And while we don't know kind of the veracity of those claims, it is pretty clear that she is probably from Ionia. One of the things that kind of caught my attention early on when they were crawling through the pipes to get into the Zaunite Piltover area in the first place, they kind of like started groaning. And they were like, why is the mountain groaning? And she said, nobody knows. Mama Elodie once told me the rock was still sad about what happened when they split the land to make the canal. She said that every now and then, when the rock's sorrow gets too much, it sobs, and that's what shakes the earth, which is the most Ionian thing in the world.
I didn't even think about that, but you're absolutely right. Yeah. That is very nice, subtle, little world-building stuff. I like it also because it's also telling us, hey, it's giving us facts, right? It's telling us, but it's doing it through a little more of a showy way of like, hey, by the way, there's all these aftershocks in Zaun. And I like they were climbing, when they were climbing into the theater through another pipe, Win, is that his name? It's kind of wondering, like, he asks, like, hey, what's going on up ahead? He doesn't give a response. It's like, what happened? Did they just, like, fall out on the cliffs? Did the rocks just shift and just crush them? Like, what's going on? So, yeah, I don't know. That's a really good point. Mama Melody, in general, is, like, the weirdest part of this, as much as I kind of like her, because I feel like she is what Seraphine was gonna be, and then something happened. Like, someone said, hey, what if we did KDA instead? And that just fucked everything.
I put in my notes that Melody is the Seraphine we needed, but not the Seraphine we deserved.
I don't know. I think I would say we should definitely put a pin in this and come back to it after Seraphine, because like listener, you have to understand, when you read the story, she's doing all the things that I know Seraphine does, which is like, not only is she casting magical sing songs, but everyone is feeling like this sense of togetherness, and everyone's feeling like happier. And it's talking about how afterwards, after she sings, like strangers are like going up and like embracing and like feeling unified, which I'm pretty sure is exactly what Seraphine does, right? Am I wrong? Like,
Yeah. No, I think that's what she does. It's disappointing that because it does kind of sound like that's what happened. And I think Seraphine is a fine idea for a champion, but she was like overly marketed, I guess. And she gets so much hate for that still.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
very polarizing marketing for sure.
Yes. I mean, I really like KDA and all of that, but it did feel like she just popped right out of KDA and was like in Runeterra now.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other... That'll be the whole Seraphine episode.
Yeah, well, I think it's just, you know, it's all this detail, and then on top of the other thing as well is that she mentions like her mother sing, like the songs that she sang is an old Vestayan song, and that her mother knew them all. It's like it's a lot of details and a lot of connections and things for like just this random one-off character and abilities.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's a little weird,
Right? It definitely seemed like there was something playing.
Yeah.
This probably was initially, like a melody story.
Oh,
and
maybe.
then they decided to do Seraphine instead and changed everything for money reasons and threw Janna in. I don't know. Or unless Janna was in there as like a kind of a little nugget for like the melody story, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Threw it on
actually,
Janna's
in
page.
terms of,
Yeah, it sounds like it was written for a whole other champion for sure.
although I
could see
do
that.
remember when this one came out. I actually remember. I'm pretty sure I was still at Riot at the time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they plan champions for a very long time sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Also, I don't know if this was just me, but every time I saw her name, I couldn't help but think, Melody.
John,
Oh man,
it was just you.
tip of the augment.
Just me? Oh.
That's
Now,
funny
anytime
shit.
you meet someone named Melody, you're gonna go Melody.
Melody. A few other things I liked about this, kind of on the topic of world building too. The quote right before they climbed in the air vents, only marks go in the front door. Very Zon.
Yeah, they've got another one where he's like, he's asking if something's the case, and the guy says, "Oh yeah, sure as gray follows day." I was like, yeah, nice, solid.
Yeah, I always like when they sneak little idioms in and stuff like that. It feels
Yeah.
really real.
Yeah,
And I think it was Graham McNeil also the Progress Day one?
I think so.
We had mentioned the idioms a lot in that one too.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Also, for the record, here's a few things that youths do for fun in the summer.
Oh yeah,
1. Make it to the top of Old Hungry without dying. 2. Cut purse a Baron Man. 3. Ride the Howl. 4. Play Knock and Run with stilt walking sump scrapers. And 5. Play Hook Dodge.
Is that with Blitzcrank?
oh maybe.
I'm very bad at hook dodge.
He always wins. Yeah, it's no wonder that Echo is, I guess, Janna are both just worked to the fucking bone, man.
Oh my god, right? They need to partner up.
I had that thought exactly. I was like, I would love to see some weird interaction between those two because they're both doing very similar work, right? In the same space.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think that Janna would really love and appreciate Echo for what he's doing.
Yeah, that would be great. Oh, like he's rewinding
Yeah.
and then he sees her like on like some rewinds or I don't know. You could do a lot with it.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
it would be nice if like maybe Janna's not affected by the rewind, or she actually remembers it, and she's like, "Why the fuck am I doing this?"
Because she's a
again?"
weird spirit god thing. Yes. Oh
Yeah,
god.
yeah. That would be really fun.
There
But
it
she's like,
is.
"Who the fuck is turning back time?"
You should have stopped right now. It's very confusing.
Next story, please.
I've been living this day for 20 fucking days.
Air Hog Day.
Anyway,
I
Let's
regret
move on.
nothing. She's also mentioned in the Whispering Doodad.
Yeah.
oh, is she?
Yeah.
We just read this, didn't we?
To be fair, she's in the Whispering Doodad just as much as she's in City of Fire.
Hey, she farts on that kid in that story. Here in the Whispering Doodad, she's just mentioned.
Ew, Mark.
No. I'm just playing.
Farts on him.
She helped him and saved his life and all that jazz.
She might have farted on him. They just mooned a bunch of people.
Yeah, we don't know how her
Or actually,
powers
they
work.
were
She does
about
have
to
a
moon him.
trickster
She seems
sense of
playful.
humor. Yeah.
Yeah.
She does a little bit, actually. Yeah.
That's true. She could have just like
Got a
planted
playful
that
sense
kid
of justice.
very delicately, but she upends him instead so that he has to kind of scrabble for a hook.
Which he cuts his hand on a rusty hook.
Yeah. Enjoy that
He's-
tetanus.
One of them probably did die, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, they were crawling through green slime on hands and knees. Toughens you up.
We didn't get the sequel where they're at the funeral to one of the children.
Oh my god, I hope we don't find out that he's one of the pictures on Echo's wall.
No, stop
No, no,
it.
no, they're all
They all
fine.
lived happily ever after. They're fine.
He's the one with the goggles, isn't
They help
he?
overthrow
You know
the
who has the
Pilties.
goggles. Fucking lie.
So whose story was the Whispering Doodat again?
So that was, we read it with Darius.
Draven.
He
Oh,
was in it.
okay. Oh,
It's
Draven.
like a Lulu, or Draven, yeah, sorry. It's like a
Okay.
Draven, Lulu, Tristana.
Yes.
With Ivern.
We keep
With-
talking.
we've
I
just
love
With
talked
it.
about-
obviously Ivern is
Yeah,
the narrator, even
that's-
though it's not explicitly called out.
That's when we just talked about it was Ivern. It's such a good story.
Yeah, and the quote that references Janna is, "It sounds like the winds are speaking, passing secrets between the trees. Maybe they are. You can never really know what the winds are saying. Well, maybe the bluebird of the seas knows, but she doesn't roam far from the sunken city these days."
Interesting.
I didn't pick up on that when we read that, actually.
No, I mean, I didn't either. I'm sure
Yeah.
Swin looked it up. It's like, oh, hey, she's mentioned here. It is interesting, though. Maybe it helps inform a little bit what kind of, like, what she is. Because if we assume this is Ivor, and maybe she's another kind of spirity, deity-esque type thing, whatever he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are all of the canon Janna things. She's in several cinematics, a comic, but none of them are actually canon.
Yeah.
They're mostly world cinematics, really.
That's
Oh,
weird. Why is
yeah.
she in so many?
She's got a lot
She's
of,
played a lot, I
yeah.
guess.
I assume she got a lot of play. Well, I assume like season 1, 2, she might have gotten a lot of play.
Yeah, some of the seasons. She's not really. She hasn't been in the meta for a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop me from playing her, but
So she was in Ignite, which was the 2016 World Cinematic. Now this song was by Zed, which was very confusing for me, who had never heard of the musician Zed
yeah, I hadn't either.
at the time. So this one basically just highlights top plays from Worlds from over the years. And I feel like this cinematic in general is very underappreciated because it was the first cinematic following the Imagine Dragons one, which was much beloved since Worlds Collide, which came out in between the two, never actually got its own cinematic. So this was like the first cinematic, and everyone just compared it to Imagine Dragons and shit on it. But it was fucking fire.
John
Yeah.
really wants to defend the Ignite.
It was good.
No, it has. I think it has certainly stood up. You know, funny enough,
Yeah.
Worlds just started and they just dropped, Burn It All Down or whatever, and I care for Ignite way more.
I don't think I do, but that's okay.
I liked.
We like all the world songs, though.
I guess that's
You
fair.
like
We
all
always
world
really like
songs.
them.
I liked the message in Burn It All Down. It was what we need right now.
We really needed a song called "Burn It All Down." We should play it for Demacia.
But yeah, Janna is featured in this cinematic for getting cross map sniped in the year 1 World Championships.
Oh, okay. By Ash.
Yeah, by Ash.
It's happened to all of us.
It has happened
Listen.
to all of us. She's also in Road to the Cup, which was the 2013 World Cinematic. This was the one that was animated by a bunch of the animators from Studio Mir of Boondocks and Legend of Korra fame. And this features Mistake from Taipei Snipers as Janna. So in this cinematic, like a bunch of players are doing their signature moves to try and climb to the top of a mountain where the Summoner's Cup is at the top. Also a pretty cool cinematic. She was also in Make History, the 2018 mid-season invitational cinematic. She doesn't do anything exciting. She's just in it.
I haven't heard MSI called by its full Christian name in a really long time. It was like the what?
The what?
The mid-season. Oh, he beats MSI.
And finally, she's in Burning Bright, the Star Guardian cinematic, where we meet the first crew of Star Guardians. Important to note, not first based on time, just first based on when we met them.
I always forget she has a Star Guardian. She has so many fucking skins,
There's
dude.
a lot of skins.
Yeah.
Which is why my AU notes are so long.
Yeah, let's power through the rest real quick.
Well, let me hop into the old lore real quick.
Oh, okay, that's true.
So, as good as the new lore is, the old lore is just as bad. I have the entire old bio here, so I'll just kind of read it real quick. Originally an orphan growing up in the chaos that is the city of Zaun, Janna worked out what living she could on the streets. Life was tough for the beautiful young girl on her own. The rampant magic that characterizes Zaun was the first and most alluring tool which Janna realized could both protect and elevate her. As many magicians do, she discovered that she had an affinity for a particular type of magic, the elemental magic of air. She mastered her studies of air magic in a matter of months, almost as if she was born of it. Janna went from a street vagrant to an avatar of the air virtually overnight. Seeking to right the injustices in the world, particularly the insanity that has become the city of Zaun, Janna has brought her ethereal skills to the League of Legends.
Yes. He said it. He said the line.
You did it!
So that is her old bio. She also has 3 appearances in the Journal of Justice.
Why?
No shit.
Now,
Damn.
let me tell you, they are not good.
Okay.
Oh god, I'm reading. I just
All
read
right.
the first line of that first one.
Volume 1,
Oh,
issue
Jesus.
5.
I'm ready.
This is by the same person who wrote that like Jack's hitting on the waitress
I'm ready.
story.
I'm ready.
You know it is.
Lay it on me.
Janna's ex leaks revealing lingerie photos of her.
Oh my god!
Janna is forced to withdraw from the public eye while her public relations team works with the League officials. League officials are pissed, and to be clear, they are pissed at Janna for this.
Jesus.
They say, regardless of the source, Janna is a representative of the League of Legends. She should comport herself as such at all times. We're still deliberating on our next course of
Man.
action.
Oh
Wow. That's
boy!
wild.
The
You know what I love? You know what I love is that this is also the same set of summoners who are like, oh yeah, that occupation of Ionia, that's chill.
That's fine.
They're occupying.
Another 15 years.
15
But you
years.
showed a titty, Janna. You showed a titty, and someone saw it.
That's.
I mean,
That is
this
wild.
is realistic. It's usually women who get ostracized
Man.
when photos of them are released. However, to the boy who wrote this, because you are a boy, for sure, I'm real sorry about what happened with your ex, but it is your fault that she's mad at you for what you have done.
Man, that's.
Now,
You were clearly going through something when you wrote this down and thought it was a good idea.
yeah. Now, I'm going to make a call out here, and this is not to, I guess, excuse any of the future stories either that we're about to talk about. But I will say the Journal of Justice in particular did have, the way that the newspaper format worked was that some of the writers were specifically writing for certain factions. So there were, kind of like in wrestling, there were heels that like all the stories
Okay.
they wrote were them being dicks. And this was clearly a series of stories by one of those heels,
Interesting.
which does not excuse the subject matter, but just to give context, I guess, to some outdated shit. Volume 1, Issue 7. This was started with a reader letter. The reader writes in to say that healthy bedroom activities are beneficial, and testing shows that they actually provide short-term boosts to magical capabilities. He was kind of writing in to be like, hey, why'd you give Janna shit? That's fine. For the record, his summoner name was Munchlord.
Oh, God.
And then the original...
I can already see his profile picture, right?
And then the original kind of article author wrote back and said, first of all, he accuses the letter writer of being on Janna's public relations payroll and derisively says, like Janna's getting down to be a better champion for the people? Nice try, my friend, but this smacks of some serious propaganda. For you folks at home, this is the kind of hype you can expect to see whenever a champion gets themselves into the kind of embarrassing trouble that Janna's most recently found herself in. There are always experts who'll come to the rescue so that what might otherwise be identified as questionable behavior can be dismissed without further thought. You be the judge. Yuck.
I kind of like, I don't know, there's something about this stupid idea of like an asshole reporter who I kind of like, but I don't know where he fits into League as it sits now.
He was Noxian, for the record.
Right, I mean, sure, right.
Because back then, he would have been. I mean, if you're trying to use this to say this is not good to slut shame women, you didn't do a good job of it, I guess. I don't know. This isn't framed well. I don't think a woman approved this.
Not framed well.
It's
at
a
all.
wild, it is a wild story to decide to tell through like something called the Journal of Justice.
Yes. Yeah, and just like, dude, we don't need this in our League of Legends lore.
We don't.
And like, where in Runeterra did he leak these lingerie photos? They don't have phones. Was he just like, did he print them out and like start taping them on like fucking trees and shit?
like stick
how did he
figures.
spread these? Yeah, like what? There's no.
The J is
Wait,
backwards.
There's no. Are there cameras? I'm so confused.
Fuck if I
Did
know,
she get like a
man.
painting done?
They're helicopters, I guess. Maybe they're cameras.
I'm sure
Maybe
they
there
just
are
got some
cameras.
bullshit magic.
I'm just
Dude, a
curious.
camera
There's
champ
no
would be
internet.
great.
There's no internet though. So how did he get him around? I like the idea that he just like he got onto
He
a really
Paul
tall
revered
building
it.
and then like threw them all.
Right? Now,
Ironic. Janna could have used the wind to blow them all away.
Right.
This is really all her fault.
Now, finally, she has a third appearance in the Journal of Justice, where they decided they can't let this story go. We need another follow-up. Volume
course we
1,
do.
issue 12, 5 issues later,
I was going to
they
ask, what
revisit
was
the scandal.
the amount of time between these?
Yeah, the first one was 5, and then 7, and then 12.
Jesus.
So they revisit the scandal to let people know that they specifically let people know the pictures are still in circulation, folks, because once something's been leaked into the world, it stays in the world. They go on to say, though Janna's standard battle outfit is rather revealing, polls show that this champion has become a favorite of many with traditional values. To show the world that she's still worthy of their adoration, Janna has chosen to take on a goodwill tour to help with the poverty-stricken areas of Zaun that she once called home. Janna had this to say, as a public figure, I have come to realize that I no longer have a private life. I'm undertaking this quest to remind people that I'm still the same person they've come to love and support, and to remind myself to be that person in every situation. So that's old Janna, folks.
God.
Man.
I don't know.
Man.
I don't really have an explanation for that. Just that whoever did that and whoever approved it should feel like a deep, deep shame forever.
Man.
That's fair.
You done fucked up.
Aren't you glad that, like, don't you wish that when we went to go read these League, like, stories, instead of, like, this beautiful little, like, emotional thing about somebody being comforted, don't you just want to read, like, terrible fucking tabloid gossip instead? Isn't that what you miss? Like, you're just waiting in line to check out at fucking HEB or whatever.
You know,
I do feel like that anytime someone's like, I miss the Journal of Justice. I'm like, do you remember the Journal of Justice?
as much as
We all know
bitch-
it was cute that, Blitzcrank had a dating service, but it also had this.
Oh, man.
I guess we can't complain too hard about the League lore of today. They really have improved it.
Well, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, I suppose.
And then you did Rise of the Sentinels and fell.
Now, Janna is also mentioned in the Harmonies issue 2 comic, where she shows up in a poster on Seraphine's bedroom as Star Guardian Janna. As we mentioned, Star Guardian exists in the KDA
Yes.
alternate universe.
I don't.
Much like the real universe exists in the KDA alternate universe.
I was gonna say, I'm trying to remember. In this one, is it that Star Guardian is like an anime? Is it that it's like a manga?
It's an anime,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Wild.
I can't keep track.
All right, now let me take you through some also not canon, but a little more up to date AUs.
That don't have tabloid.
Yeah, there are no leaked pictures in any of these AUs. First one is Guardian of the Sands, where powerful guardians stand watch over the tomb of an ancient horror so that it may never threaten the world again. but they may already be too late. This one is Guardian of the Sands, Janna. Janna, the Desert Gale, ancient guardian of the sands, we invoke thee to protect us from an evil of our own making. Let no man tread upon these hallowed grounds, lest your sandstorms consume them whole.
That's kind of cool. I like Gale of the Desert, or Desert Gale, whatever they call her.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool name.
Yeah.
That's a nickname. I'd take that. Now, she's also part of Immortal Journey. Long ago, in an ancient land, many souls gathered beneath the gods to test the limits of their power. Foolish and arrogant, brave and just, their journeys are written into the immortal pages of history. Now, this is the one we talked about, I think, with Aurelia, too, where it's kind of like a Journey to the West type tale. So this one is Sacred Sword Janna, which, for the record, she's actually immortal in this. She is amortal, not immortal.
Oh, okay.
She is immortal in this one. Janna is the guardian of an ancient sword made of the purest jade, hidden at the bottom of a silent lake. Those who wield this weapon are granted immortality, and so she must remain steadfast in order to protect it. And this one actually also has a short story associated with it called Where the Heavens Meet the Earth. And it's actually, I guess, short story. It's more of like a poem. It's a beautiful poem, actually. I guess. Doesn't
Did it
rhyme.
rhyme?
Doesn't
Yeah.
rhyme.
You said the P word.
Yeah. This talks a bit about Fiora and Master Yi's quest in this AU, which is to find the Jade Blade that Janna protects.
Kind of Galadriel,
They want immortality.
right? Isn't she like
Yeah,
Lady of the
yeah, she
Lake,
is.
kind of? Yeah.
Yeah. Now, she's also part of Battle Queens. Once fractured by endless warfare, the collective queendoms of Elysia have realized the true nature of their world, that the magic holding their fantastical plane together is maintained only through conflict. They have thus allied through the unifying conflict of the Grand Coronation, though some alliances are beginning to show cracks.
Oh, no.
This one's Battle Queen Janna. Hailing from Ori, floating high above the tournament, Queen Janna quite literally looks down on the whole affair. But without a champion in the coronation, the magic that brings long life to Ori's reclusive population will fail, and so Janna descends for yet another showcase exhibition of her power. Anything to protect her people. This one also has a short story associated with it, called Battle Queen's Crest, which basically just outlines the storylines of the 5 queens that are fighting in the tournament. And for Janna's part in all this, she just basically comes down, talks some smack to Kiana, and then destroys a bunch of buildings that were housing monsters that were probably going to be sicked on her or something.
Oh, okay. When you said a bunch of
Calls it a
houses,
day.
I was like, well, damn, she really took a turn in this one, but...
Fuck your houses. Now, they've got like manticores and shit in
Ooh,
them.
shit. It's pretty cool.
Now, she's also part of Hextech. Now at the forefront of science and art, Hextech has evolved from its rudimentary beginnings into a modern renaissance of intricate artificial life forms capable of free will. Skilled artificers lead the medium into a bold new future. But what will it bring? None can say. This one is Hextech Janna. Practitioners of Hextech science have historically benefited from the core crystalline matrix's more esoteric properties. Janna's long exposure to such raw materials famously granted her the power of limited flight and the ability to control the wind.
This
good
is
deal.
such an old splash.
Yeah.
Very old splash.
This one's weird because it's almost just like another old Janna bio. Like, this was the version 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, she's got a harrowing skin. This is Bewitching Janna.
I love this one.
It's Janna's favorite season once again, when dark spirits rise from the earth and hidden troves of candy are enjoyed by all. Don your best disguise and ride into the night, for the witching hour is upon us.
Yo, spooky. How apropos.
Very spooky. Now, she's also part of Victorious. Now, these are just skins that are awarded to players that hit a rank of gold or higher. And
So I don't have any.
There's not a whole lot of lore to speak of for these skins, but I was reading through the Janna thing and a few of the others, and I just realized how much all of the skin blurbs just sound like an announcer at a fashion show. which I fucking
Okay.
loved. So here's victorious Janna. Armed with a crystalline staff and the best Demacian armor, victorious Janna unleashes epic gales to blow her enemies away. I have a few others from champions that we've already covered, so you can kind of see this in other champions too. This is Elise. Spin a wicked web for your enemies in gold-trimmed armor and deep purple robes, and chuckle as they struggle. And this one is Graves. The most wanted outlaw in Bilgewater boasts of his years of skillful heists by wearing the finest regalia money can buy.
God, I can just. Oh my God.
First of all, no, he doesn't.
God, I can picture it so well. Fuck.
As they walk the runway
Somebody make that
on the
cinematic.
catwalk.
Right should do that if they ever make these skins buyable. They have to fucking do that.
Ooh.
They never would.
yeah.
That would be like, that would cheapen the whole thing.
Yeah, they don't do that. They have a pretty hard rule against that. Now, second to last, she's part of Star Guardian. Now, Star Guardian follows the story of a group of high school students who choose to become cosmic protectors and must battle cosmic enemies threatening the universe. However, they consequently learn of the anguish and perils associated with their newfound roles. And every Star Guardian has a familiar spirit accompanying them. Some familiars turn into the Guardian's weapons, while others just aid them with channeling their spells and abilities. Janna's is named Zephyr. Little bird. Now this is Star Guardian Janna. Soft-spoken and sometimes distant, Janna serves as mentor to her younger team and gently guides them towards a true understanding of their destiny. While she rarely offers information about her mysterious past, her poise and quiet strength are deeply admired by her Star Guardian teammates. Now there are a lot of short stories associated with this.
Yeah.
So I'll do the super quick one. So New Stars is the first one. This basically just teaches us a little bit more about what it means to be a Star Guardian. And here are a few fun facts. So in the beginning of all things, the Star Guardians, the first star gave its light to create the universe. New worlds were born, and with them, warriors imbued with the light of the first star. Now, these protectors are supernovas, blazing bright, yet destined to collapse as furiously as they burn. They are the Star Guardians. And as a Star Guardian fades, their power is reborn in new protectors. Star Guardians are chosen for their strength and resolve, but above all, they're chosen for their courage. And it often signals a cataclysmic battle elsewhere in the universe when multiple Star Guardians are chosen to serve at once. Now, this one was interesting. Star Guardians must familiarize themselves with the customs and rituals of a planet in order to blend in with its inhabitants, dispelling any suspicion about their true nature, which kind of threw me off, because I thought that they were just students who became Star Guardians, but apparently they're just Star Guardians who then, I guess, join planets and try to learn about the culture.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, they kind of run a little contrary.
Yeah. Star Guardians can only defeat the darkness that spreads across the universe if they stand together. They will fight as one or fall as many, which has some real big Lost vibes here. Stick together or die alone. Now, there's also the Starfall story. This is basically just Lux and her team of Star Guardians, including Janna, going on a team-building retreat where they meet Ari and a team of other Guardians, although they don't realize they're Guardians at the time. The camp's attacked by darkness, and the two teams fight together to defeat it. The end.
Yay.
And then we've got the Slumber Party, where Lux plans a mandatory Star Guardian meeting. Lulu, not realizing she meant her team, invites Ari's team, because they're also Star Guardians. Why not? They show up. Things are awkward. They're like, don't get along, but then they do get along, and then they have a slumber party, and everyone lives happily ever after and becomes friends.
Yay!
Yeah.
And then, finally, the Twilight Star, where the Star Guardians seem to be just out playing at a playground when they're attacked by Zoe. She attacked with Bubbles. Janna blows them away. Like wind does to Bubbles. So they manage to fight Zoe back, but Lulu gets hit by a...
Louie,
Louie,
no!
Louie.
Louis, no!
Get out of the way, Louie!
He was the best of
bubbles
us all.
are coming.
I'm popping here.
That went off the rails real fucking quick. Don't ever make a mistake while reading.
Lulu gets hit by a bubble and has a vision that she, although they don't know who she is coming. They decide they need to contact Ari to get more information, but that's when they find out that Ari disappeared after the Slumber Party story, which we know as the viewers disappeared directly into the events of the Light and Shadow cinematic.
Yeah.
Now, the final AU that Janna's a part of, most important, day job.
Oh yeah, this is
Each skin represents champions and their daily job routine, and this is Forecast Janna. Janna has survived the market downswing in televised news for at least the last decade, but even in her relatively cushy position, the viewers are getting older, and the weather is getting freakier. Might be time to put her meteorology degree to good use. Meteorology degree to good use. God damn it.
I do agree with your
Fight
meteorology.
the sky is the last line of that.
This is Forecast Janna. That's what he's trying to say.
Forecast Janna, folks. It's forecast. It's forecast Janna.
Jesus, are you okay?
Rest now, soldier.
You have completed.
Mischief managed.
Now, I feel like at the time when this came out, this was really exciting because she was getting a different voice over. Was it like really uncommon at the time?
There wasn't a lot that got a bunch of unique quotes to go along with the voiceover.
Yeah.
If someone did get a voiceover, a lot of the time it might be they'd add a new filter to
Okay.
it. There were a few. I mean, there were champions at the time
Yeah.
that had voiceovers. Like I knew Pulsefire Ezreal kind of got a whole.
That was a really big
voiceover
deal.
rework. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good one. Especially, I think this one was a big deal too because, like Janna, I mean, we saw how many quotes. Janna doesn't have a lot of quotes.
Yes.
The majority of her quotes are in the Forecast Janna skin.
Yeah, she has way more quotes
Yeah.
with this skin, and they're very funny.
We should've
and
quoted
just the
that,
weather
frankly.
voice is so good. Oh, it's true.
I did. There was actually one quote that I wrote down for Forecast Janna that seemed very on brand for me. We can edit that out, right?
This is Janna live at Summoner's Rift. Hopefully I stay that way.
Eh.
This is
Oh God, I didn't mean to play it again.
There's a fun thing where if your team is Nasus, Warwick, Rengar, and Nidalee, her opening quote says, "I'm live at the scene, and it's just cats and dogs here."
Wow.
Does it have to be all of them specifically?
I think it has to
Probably,
be
yeah.
all. I don't know if they've added more over time.
I think so
but-
because I feel like I've heard her say that.
Like with Yumi or
but that's a
something.
very specific team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's also got a real sassy. It looks like there's a low chance any skill shots are gonna hit us.
It's really good. That skin is great.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, Janna was a
It
wild
is.
pick for such a really impressive skin, I guess I would say. So I think that's what drove a
Yeah.
lot of the hype around it, maybe.
And I think we talked about this before too, but little fun factoid for Forecast Janna. I do the whistling in her dance.
Oh yeah, son.
Yeah, I don't know that we talked about that
Oh.
before. But yeah,
Well, I
that
do.
I feel like that came about because you knew the voice actress Faye, who did Lulu,
Yeah.
and when somebody asked her, "Do you know anyone who's good at whistling?" she was like, "I sure do," because John would just whistle around the office constantly. Yeah.
I know just
So
the motherfucker.
I think they. Yeah, I know just the piece of
You're
shit
gonna
that'll
hate
get
him.
songs stuck in your head. The thing about John's whistling is it blends into the background so well that suddenly you're like, why is Baby Got Back in my head? And it's because John was fucking whistling. You realize
He'll incept ideas into your brain by whistling them
he
in.
does. So I believe what they asked you to do was they wanted to do Singing in the Rain, yes?
Yes. Originally, they brought me in to do Singing in the Rain, just kind of like a straight version of that. Because if you look at her dance, that's what she's dancing to. She's dancing to Singing in the Rain. So if you're ever if you're ever wondering why that's also not the song she's whistling, it's because we couldn't get the rights. Because I went in there and I did a whole recording session, and I did a bunch of variations of Singing on the Rain too. So I did it straight, and then I did a bunch of slight variations on the melody. couldn't get the rights to any of it. So then they brought me back in for a second recording session, and they sent me what was at the time and I don't think they ever actually released this with the game because I haven't been able to find it anywhere, but they were like, oh, this is a song for Cho'Gath Eats the World that we're going to be releasing. Do you want to whistle this? Want to like do some variations on this instead? So I laid down a few variations of that tune too.
Lay down those sick whistle
Laid down
beats.
some sick whistle beats. And yeah, they just kind of chose one of those, and then they didn't end up. I don't think they ended up using that song for Cho'Gath Eats the World. So now it's just kind of a mystery song. I feel like on the forums, a few people were like, "What is that song?" It was going to be Cho'Gath Eats the World.
That is interesting. I had kind of forgotten about the Cho'Gath Eats the World thing. That's a really neat little detail.
Will you do the whistle for us now?
Oh God, that's a lot of pressure.
You whistle all the time.
I know, but not on camera.
Whistle Baby Got
Not on
Back.
camera. I can. I
You want me
can
to
cut
just do
around
the
it.
Cho'Gath Eats the World?
Yeah, the one that's in the game.
Okay. I gotta sit up straight.
Okay.
Me.
No, John, you don't use your voice. Yay! Thanks. Here's what my whistling sounds like. Fuck. I thought I'd be able to get one whistle out, but I couldn't. I just a Janna impression at
This
this
is our
point.
blowing podcast. I've got a few fun facts about Janna.
Okay.
Shoot.
She's voiced by Aaron Fitzgerald,
Nice.
number one.
Except for that whistling part. That was
Except for that whistling
That was
part.
Johnny D.
Johnny D. She's one of the only champions I think the only champion in the game that can shield a turret.
Yes.
And it will grant you a kill if the turret gets the last hit when shielded.
What?
Yeah.
I don't think I realized that.
Does it?
I guess that
It
makes
gives you the
sense.
kill? Yeah. I guess if no one else does it. Okay. Well, what if someone else hits it? How does that work? Do you know? Like if they've got a kill tag on them,
I think if someone else attacked them,
we'll have to
then
test it.
It wouldn't.
But you surely
Yeah,
get an
we'll have to
assist or
test.
something, right?
Oh, I'm
For
sure.
Janna's original surname used to be Windforce. That used to be her full name, Janna Windforce.
Oh
my
man. God, what is it about Janna that like they just can't? They had a real serious creative rut with her. I don't know what the deal was.
They put all their effort into her kit, which was so good that it's still the fucking
I don't
same,
fucking
but
know.
everything else.
Wind lady, fuck.
Janna Windblow Lady.
The game
That's
is
her
getting into
name.
production literally right now.
What should we make the voiceover? Just make it like, woo!
John, I wish that's what it sounded like.
Just a fan blowing it.
It was more like this, though. Make her sound like this. I'm Janna Windvoice.
It really does sound like a Vigar impression, frankly.
It does. It's like somebody's whispering a Vagar impression.
Yeah.
I really love it. Anyway,
Janna's also responsible for single-handedly shielding Zaun from the Darken War. So, I mean, that's pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah, honestly.
She's like, fuck these Ascended.
And finally, Alistar and Amumu can be seen in the tornado in the Forecast Janna skin.
I don't think that's a Moo. That's Teemo, huh?
That's Teemo. I meant Teemo.
Oh.
I wrote down Amumu, but I feel like as I was writing it, I don't know, I meant Teemo and it just came out
okay.
Amumu.
It's okay, hun.
I'm so sorry.
This is Riot riding the wave of people hating Teemo a lot,
Oh, yeah.
which they do a lot.
They love that shit.
I mean,
And you know what? I fucking love
gonna
Teemo.
say.
Fuck all y'all.
that's why all the
Although-
yearly infographics had amount of Teemos killed on them.
I will say we were playing against Teemo last night, and every time I ran into a mushroom, I got it. I remembered.
Oh, yeah.
But still.
You forget until you play against one. You're like, oh, he's
such a
fine.
bitch.
He's adorable. And then you get one shot when he's split pushing bot lane. One of his goddamn mushrooms
gets the
top.
fucking
and-
team.
Anywho, those are my Janna fun facts.
I think that might have been
Very
Janna.
nice. I think so. I would like her to get a. I'd like her to get a visual and VO update. Leave the gameplay
Yes.
untouched, but like you said, she doesn't read Zaun at all, and I don't know how you want. Like, I would do something that was maybe like a mix of Shurima and Zaun. That would be a cool way to kind of tie in the old and the new.
Yeah, kind of like a combination of like the Shurima skin she has, the Guardian of the Sands, and then the Hextech
Yeah,
skin. something
yeah.
like
Just
that.
mush those
That'd be pretty
together.
cool. Yeah.
Just mush them together, and then update the Hextech one because I love it. But goddamn that splash art!
Hex Guardian Janna.
Ooh, love it. Well, that's Janna. Thank you for listening. We post these on YouTube, and we have a Twitter. It's at Loreheads. And join us next week. We're heading back to Demacia to talk about the exemplar of Demacia, Jarvan the Fourth.